Cowboys and training camp just a couple of weeks away. It is the Blitz here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star on YouTube. Subscribe to the San Antonio Sports Star YouTube channel. Joe Reinagel on vacation. I'm Jason Minix. Our good friend RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com probably has spent his morning ordering a Happy Gilmore hockey stick putter and then diving into Cowboy content. RJ Ochoa on the Buyers Barricades guest line. Forks up. Happy Friday, my friend.
That's right. Forks up. Go Gators. And I guess I should say now that Happy Gilmore is a Bruins fan. And so he and I park our cars in the same garage in that sense. I actually told you when I went and saw the Bruins play the Wild that I wanted a cap, partly, to plant my flag and pick a favorite team, but also literally because Happy Gilmore wore one. So, that's my why.
And again, you've studied all the Boston Bruins history. You've probably could name 8 players, but that's
there's the one picture of that guy diving, that Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr, yes.
Hey.
Yes. That's like saying Roger Staubach was great back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that guy that threw the Hail Mary? Was it Roger?
Yeah. He was in the Army, I believe. So
go Navy. Yeah. Beat Army. You understand the assignment. RJ, I mean, obviously it's been an interesting offseason for the Cowboys after last year. All of last year, from losing to the Packers in the playoffs, not doing anything in the offseason, to Mike McCarthy being a lame duck head coach. When we got to Oxnard, and we talked about it in Oxnard, it was just weird, and the season was weird. This offseason has been completely different, yet there's still seems to be a slight degree of fan apathy. And I'm not sure if it's apathy or, man, I'm just not sure if I want to jump in. I'm dipping my toe in the water, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome to be the Packers and know that you broke a team the way that they broke the Cowboys, right? Like this team, I don't know when they got reassembled. I don't know if they technically are, but at the very least, to your point, it felt like the front office started to at least pick up the pieces this offseason. They just left them on the floor all of last calendar year. I've been covering this team professionally for a decade. I've obviously been a fan of them all my life. I can't tell you another year that was like last year. It was willful, intentional, consciously driven toxicity that surrounded the team at every turn. And also to your point, I think that there's a callousness for people. I don't know anyone who, and I say this, really with great respect for how you live, that enjoys football season like you do, right? Like football season is such a part of your life and other people's lives, and how you delegate your plans. And we're going to go here, and we're going to pregame here, and we're going to this, and we're going to catch this game before so we can be there and catch the Uber, whatever. And I think that some of that stuff just like fell on the priority for people last year. I think it was the coupling of how they lost and the toxicity that the front office kind of stirred into the pot. And that, I mean, dude, we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary. I think people, like, they only know this way of life. At least there's an entire generation and then some that have lived this way. And so I think people are reluctant to believe because they've already had all their friends make all the jokes at their expense, and they're just kind of tired of the same old song and dance.
RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I totally get the Cowboys are a different animal than every other NFL franchise that's out there. The drought, the expectations. I do think the Cowboys will be a lot better this year than last year, although hard not to be if Dak is healthy. I mean, Dak could end up winning Comeback Player of the Year, which is an award nobody really wants to win, but because that means it was really bad the year before, right? But at the same time, I think a lot of Cowboy fans are realistic about where they are. Cautiously optimistic might be the word. Philadelphia, you look at the NFC, it's in the rules. You can't have a repeat winner. But is Washington going to regress a little bit? All those one-score games they won last year, are they losses this year? Does Jaden Daniels have a sophomore slump? But I do think the biggest questions, we don't know enough about Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach to really know how good is he going to be, not only as a head coach, but a play caller.
Yeah, it is strange how, and I know you recall the night they hired him. I mean, that was like DEFCON 1. I mean, that was truly, our pets' heads are falling off levels of panic. And nothing really happened to change that, like between then and this moment. Yet everywhere you look, there's all this optimism. I guess the thing that happened is he had a chance to sit behind a microphone and he kind of, oohed and awed and we're all kind of like humana, Brian, like what more can you say? How else can you dazzle us? And that's just like the CEO part of the job that Jason Garrett was fit to handle. To your point, again, I mean, the guy has talked about like, cuts and motions, and that's got people tripping all over themselves, and that's cool, but we have no actual data to support this. Like, we have simply looked at the menu, and it's one of those like fancy schmancy ones that doesn't have any pictures, right? Like, we have no idea what we're about to be served. And in a couple of weeks' time, that will change to some degree, because training camp will start to kind of blow some of the dust off this thing. But I mean, it's also unique because he hasn't called plays in an extremely long time. It is as unorthodox of a situation as you can unfold. I mean, Jerry has truly outdone himself with a Kobayashi Maru in this particular case. I know you know exactly what that is.
Now, sure. The guy that eats off the kids menu because he needs pictures to order food. RJ, when you look at that, and I'm with you, I was not excited at all about Brian Schottenheimer when he was hired. I wasn't excited about the coaching search that Jerry had. But this offseason, Schottenheimer has changed my mind. I get how he won over Jerry and Steven in the interview process. And granted, they knew him. And I think about the guy that I've seen the last couple of years as an assistant. And when you're an assistant, it's different, right? I mean, it's kind of like watching Dan Quinn when he was the defensive coordinator. And I know I was sitting in Oxnard with you and we were like, man, look at how intense he is in these defensive drills. How is he going to be different as a head coach becomes the biggest question. Everybody that I talk to in Dallas say that at least to this point, the Schotty that we knew is the Schotty that is still today. The head coaching job hasn't changed him.
Yeah, and I mean, to his credit, I mean, he has. You can't do anything through July 11th, right? But the things that you can do, he has done, right? Like, if we acknowledge that none of this matters in the grand scheme, he is still of the tests being put in front of him, he is passing them with flying colors. And who knows? I mean, maybe they truly did stumble into things, right? Like, the greatest story ever told is the Fellowship of the Ring. Frodo was this, feeble, small creature and wound up being the most important, most critical to delivering the entire world from evil relative to the way that Tolkien kind of laid it out. And so I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer is our Frodo. I've always thought that Dak was. That the story just kind of made more sense that way. But it is easy to see how a room can fall for this guy, can fall in love with him. I think the thing that has impressed me the most about him is I have not really ever heard him talk about his father from a inspirational standpoint. And I say that with respect. Obviously, that the man has an incredible amount of respect for his father, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. But I've heard him talk more about Pete Carroll and Steve Spurrier and the football influences that they were on his life as opposed to his father, which is just, you're not kind of used to hearing things. In fact, Mike McCarthy talked more about Marty Schottenheimer's football influence on him than Brian has, which just, again, part of the unique nature that this particular man is to be the team's head coach.
Although I do think my opinion, when I references like that, because he's trying to be his own man and not Marty's son.
Right.
And I get that. I think it's very conscious on his part and probably smart. But at the same time, he's got to be his own, references to Marty ball. Are we going to see him run the ball? Is he going to be like his dad, or is he going to be on his own? Are they going to use the passing game to open up the run game, or vice versa? Now I look at the running backs that they have, and then you add in a George Pickens. I'm thinking they're going to use the pass game to open up the run game.
Yeah, Bill Danaher is one of the greatest coaches to ever live, but you don't have to run the ball a million times to be able to effectively run the ball. You don't have to set up the pass. That's kind of an antiquated view of play action or modern offenses. It's often said that play action is the passing game setting up the run the way that you just did. And, Mina Kimes is so smart. She made this point this week on our podcast that not that it doesn't matter who the running back is for the Cowboys, but that it's a much more, malleable thing when you have threats like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens opening things up. You can stack the box against the Cowboys. Now, to be fair, people weren't stacking the box against Zeke Elliott last year, and that wasn't helping him in any sort of way. Like you have to have competent players back there. And I don't know that any of them are incompetent, but I don't know who the most competent is right now. It's a weird kind of grab bag of, is Javonte Williams going to be like, because I think right now, if I came back from the future and told you, hey, Jason, Javonte Williams led the team in carries, or Miles Sanders did, or Jaden Blue did, or heck, Phil Moffitt did, I think any of those potential realities are all conceivable. I think you can see one path for each of them, which is why it's weird that we're not super confident. We're just in this kind of state of tentativeness overall relative to the position.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. Obviously, offense is always the storylines. Defense was bad last year. And granted, injuries had a lot to do with that, and reasons or excuses, but especially the defensive line. The run defense wasn't good at all. And if you're watching Quarterback on Netflix, you realize all three of the quarterbacks featured torched the Dallas Cowboys. And so you see a lot of bad Cowboy defense when you're watching Quarterback on Netflix. So if you're a Cowboy fan, it sometimes can be a tough watch. Have they done enough in your mind on the defensive side, whether it's the influence that Matt Eberflus is going to have or the personnel that they brought in, to see significant upgrades from that defensive unit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all would love, obviously, if DeMarvion Overshown were healthy, and I think you have to probably assume that he's not going to play at all. And if he does, you just kind of treat that as icing on the cake. But it's the Micah Parsons show. And I don't often believe in addition by subtraction. And I hate to frame the DeMarcus Lawrence departure that way. I really do not care what he said on his way out. I don't think any less of him, whatever. But I recall before he left, before free agency, around the Super Bowl, Micah had a post, and he noted, like, look, we're going to have some guys leaving that are going to kind of open the door. We just kind of need this fresh blood. And I don't think that DeMarcus or Zach Martin or Tyron Smith were failures, but I do think that this group, and specifically this defense, has just kind of been in need of just moving the furniture around type of thing. And I think that that's what happens with DeMarcus Lawrence leaving. This is Micah's show. This is Micah and Trayvon Diggs. They are not only the best players on the defense, they're the elder statesmen, and there are now opportunities for new young bucks, the Marshawn Nealons of the world, and the newbies like, Jack Sanborn is kind of an underrated free agent signing. And the trades, I don't know how well Kyrie Elam's going to play. I know he's a Florida Gator, so I trust that immensely as of late. I don't know what Kenneth Murray's going to be like, but I know that they raise the floor a lot. And when you raise the floor and you have perennial home run hitters like Micah Parsons, I trust you to be serviceable when Dak Prescott's leading the offense on the other side of things.
And for those that don't know, a little behind the curtains, while you did finish and technically graduate, although you haven't walked the stage yet with your undergrad from Arizona State, you've already signed yourself up for more punishment. I mean, study, doing your master's program at the University of Florida.
That's right. Yeah. So Brian Schottenheimer is a Gator. So, he's part of the 96 national championship team, by the way. He's very proud of that. And so, I've absorbed that national title as part of my overall sports prowess. You're talking to a national champion from a college basketball standpoint right now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a great day to be a Florida Gator.
I mean, you're going to start wearing visors on a daily basis. I mean, and again, you give me crap for having a lot of hockey teams. That's your colleges are A&M, Arizona State, and Florida. Now, if they were all in other
A&M
conferences,
when it's convenient,
huh?
Yeah.
All right.
A&M when it's convenient. They've fallen by the wayside. I mean, if they're on, if Rob Thompson's been kind to me lately, you know what I mean? I have no problem putting some positive energy behind it.
You are a former student.
That's true. You know what I mean? But I mean, in terms of pecking order, they've fallen down. That's the way life goes. They're my Las Vegas Golden Knights.
When A&M plays Florida, what shirt are you wearing?
That's not even a question. That's a Florida Gator shirt, Florida Gator visor. My son's in his Florida Gator shirt. I've got my wife got me Florida Gator Nike Pegasus shoes for Father's Day. So, I mean, literally in that sense, head to toe.
You are bought in. Aside from Cowboy gear, it's Gator gear or Arizona State gear or Boston Bruins gear, or at least your hockey putter. As we head to training camp, what's the one thing that you are most curious to see from the Cowboys, not on day one, but maybe before that first preseason game, and certainly before they break camp and return to Dallas, leaving Oxnard?
I really am curious to see how they keep the juice going, because they haven't really been able to do that. I mean, you know better than anybody that sometimes camp can, run a little stale, run a little dry, and even in the beautiful, weather, even under the perfect sunshine. But you get out there for a while, and it's easy to kind of fall into like, oh, Denzel's here today. Miles Teller was here yesterday, and Jessica Alba's coming next week. Like, it all just kind of, gets monotonous. And that's where, people have their thoughts on how his was, but he kept the juice, right? Like, he kept every practice the way it was. And I don't know if George Pickens is that guy, but in a new era, in a Zach Martin-less world, in a DeMarcus Lawrence-less world, in a Mike McCarthy-less world, I love Dak, but Dak is not the rah-rah guy, right? Like, Dak is not the dude who's out there. Yeah, he's trash talking to John, but like, who's the dude that's like, man, these guys are about to fight, and because you want that on some level, right? You want that intensity and those epic battles to happen. I don't know if it's George Pickens. That seems too easy and too stereotypical. Is it a rookie? Is it something that we can't predict? Is Kalen Carson show up to Oxnard all pissed off and wanting to like spit in everybody's eyes type thing? I don't know, but I do know that in the dog days of training camp, you need that guy to kind of keep status quo, because you're just beginning a marathon. And if you think it's annoying the way you're being covered now after one weird story at camp and the number of fans in attendance, like, it's only going to get bigger and more obnoxious and more annoying. So somebody has to kind of, keep you pointed towards your North Star.
My guess on that, Tyler Booker. Nice dude, but nasty. He's a different dude. So. He's a different dude when he steps onto that field. I think that nasty is going to be there. I'm curious if he's going to pull an old Des Bryant. Dude, I'm not carrying your helmets.
I mean, even in that respect, like, whose helmets is he carrying, right? Like, along the, all due respect, like, along the offensive line, like, if Terrence Steele, Brock Hoffman, again, and congratulations, he was recently married, but, like, if Brock Hoffman's, like, carrying my helmets, like, if Tyron Smith asks you to carry his helmet, and Dez, right, like, Roy Williams asks you to carry his helmet, it's a different thing. But, like, that's kind of my point. Like, they're in a place where there's room for new alphas to step up and take the mantle, because Zach Martin's gone, because DeMarcus Lawrence is gone. And it goes without saying that I also am curious for when the Micah extension happens. Like, I'll ask you, does it happen before they break camp in Oxnard?
I think it does. I think it happens before the first day that pads go on. We get out there Saturday the 26th, pads go on the 27th. And I think Micah's going to push for it more than any of the other recent veterans, whether you're talking about CD or not. He couldn't stay off the field in minicamp, even though he was going to. And with Eberflus there, I think there is a priority for Micah not to miss the important time, and that's when the pads go on.
Well, let's hope he doesn't do all like Travis Frederick then, if it happens right when you arrive. You know what I mean? Like, let's hope that he does it the right way. All due respect, again, to Travis.
Travis Frederick, and I think you're referring to this story. We interviewed Rob Thompson and I. We had Travis Frederick on the Blitz. We're talking to him about getting his new contract, and he was giving us the, well, we'll see. My agent's talking. It's not my focus. And he's finished the interview, and he goes back into the complex. About 2 hours later, it's announced the deal is done, and it was done in the morning. They just hadn't announced it yet. That dude sat on our show for 15 minutes and knew he was stupid rich and lied. It was crazy.
Yeah. I hope Micah comes in as like, Jason, I brought the CT, man. I brought everything you need. I'm hooking you up because my bank account is popping right now. What else can I get you? I'll take care of the Ubers. I'll take care of the Bud Lights. I got you. Micah strikes me as that kind of guy. So I hope that's your experience.
I remember Rob was like, well, if you don't have your new deal, and Rob was like, dude, you're the hairiest man I've ever met in my life. And this dude just signed this massive contract and didn't let us know yet because it hadn't been announced. It was crazy. And yeah, the Micah deal will certainly be a storyline, although I hope a short one when we get out there. All the great coverage there at bloggingtheboys.com, and make sure you're following RJ Ochoa on Twitter at RJ Ochoa, because the season is here, my friend. Forks up. Congrats on finishing there at Arizona State. Technically the same graduating class as my daughter.
That's right. Congratulations, of course, to Erica. She's literally, and from a credential standpoint, one of the smartest people I know. So I know you and Joanna are very proud. You should be. And just as I leave, when you do the Gator Chomp, because I know that you are going to root for Florida, because you love me.
I will not.
Let's be real.
Hook 'em horns.
When it's convenient, but the chomp is right over left, just for whenever you do it, even if it's in your heart.
Will never happen. Appreciate you, RJ. Have a great weekend. RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com, on the Buyers Barricades guest line, where they provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond, online at buyersbarricades.com.